Hong Kong. Two members of Hong Kong's pro-Beijing establishment appeared to break ranks with the city's embattled leader on Friday, saying publicly that an unpopular bill that would allow extraditions to mainland China should be delayed. Bernard Chan, a top advisor to Carrie Lam, Hong Kong's chief executive, said on Friday that it would be impossible to rush through the bill as the city remained on edge after street clashes that saw the police fire tear gas and rubber bullets at protesters opposed to the legislation. And the lawmaker Michael Tian became the first member of the legislature's pro-Beijing faction to openly call for a delay on the bill's passage. If things continue to move in the wrong direction, I am worried that the government will find it harder to win the trust of its friends, and I worry about Hong Kong's governance prospects, Mr. Tian wrote on his Facebook page. The remarks could signal that public pressure is forcing Hong Kong's pro-Beijing faction, which has rather been a staunch supporter of Mrs. Lam on the extradition issue, to speak out against it. Mrs. Lam, who called off a planned appearance at a technology conference on Friday, has not commented on the issue since Wednesday night when she urged the public to help restore order. Mr. Chan, the convener of the Executive Council, a body that advises the territory's chief executive on major policy decisions, told a local radio station that the massive downtown street conflict between police and demonstrators on Wednesday had forced a rethink of the government's earlier plan to put the bill up for a vote by next week. See photos from Hong Kong's biggest display of dissent in years. The police have said they used force on Wednesday to suppress protesters who had tried to storm the territory's legislative council to prevent a reading of the bill. But the crackdown also left thousands of peaceful protesters choking on tear gas and many others smarting from pepper spray or injured by rubber bullets. The government later said that 81 people had been injured, and the authorities were heavily criticized as video that appeared to show police officers using excessive force against demonstrators circulated on social media. There is so much misunderstanding, and on Wednesday we all witnessed very saddening events we don't want to see, Mr. Chan told the station RTHK. So we really need to review this bill again. To explain this in detail again would be one option. The intense public outcry against the bill comes from a fear that it would put Hong Kong's residents and visitors at risk of being detained and sent to China for trial by the country's Communist Party-controlled courts. Underlying the opposition is the growing fear that the freedoms people in Hong Kong enjoy under the one country, two systems policy put in place when the former British colony was returned to China in 1997 are rapidly shrinking. After the protests and clashes on Wednesday, the legislature's president delayed the debate on the bill through Friday. No new date has been set for when the legislature will resume meeting. Further protests against the bill are planned for Sunday, and activists have called for schools, shops, and workers to go on strike on Monday, in another effort to stop the bill from passing. Criticism of the government and the police has put significant political pressure on Mrs. Lam, who was selected by China's leaders to govern Hong Kong 2 years ago and has championed the bill. But so far, she has shown no sign of backing down. On Wednesday, she called the demonstration an organized riot and compared the protesters, mostly young people in their 20s and 30s, to spoiled children. Hong Kong's leader says she won't back down. Mr. Chan said on Friday that his primary concern was ensuring that conflict between protesters and the authorities did not escalate. If you ask for my personal opinion, at this moment, maybe we should consider not polarizing everyone, he told RTHK. As we can see now, the government is not proceeding with the meetings. I figure that this is a buffer for the situation right now, and also to look at whether the citizens really actually understand what this bill is about. Regina Ip, a pro-Beijing lawmaker who serves on the same advisory council as Mr. Chan, told reporters on Friday that Mr. Chan's remarks represented the concerns of the business community. But I have not heard the government say that they will retract the bill, so I have been waiting for the president of LegCo to tell us when the readings would recommence, she added, referring to the Legislative Council. To address concerns about the extradition bill, officials in the Legislative Council have proposed more than 100 amendments. Now, many fear that the amount of time allocated for debating the bill, 61 hours, will not be enough. Some have called political foul play. Others object to the length of time that the government allocated for public consultation on the bill before moving it to the legislature. The government set aside 20 days, but other bills, including ones that are far less controversial, routinely get a few months. Lawyers have questioned the government's sense of urgency in passing this bill, too. While Taiwanese officials have requested assistance from Hong Kong authorities to help extradite a man suspected of killing his girlfriend in Taiwan, they have also expressed concern over the proposed bill. In its current form, the bill could also undermine the sovereignty of Taiwan, which China regards as part of its territory. In pushing the extradition bill, Mrs. Lam has said it would address a legal loophole urgently needed to ensure that a Hong Kong man accused of killing his girlfriend in Taiwan last year does not go free. But officials in Taiwan have objected to the legislation and said they would not seek the man's extradition if it passes. Mr. Tian, the pro-Beijing lawmaker, said that he did not understand why Mrs. Lam remained so adamant about passing the bill given Taiwan's opposition. That opposition would provide the basis for any leader to change their position, he said. There is nothing wrong with that. This is what I am imploring the chief executive to do.